Welcome to That's Good Broncos. I am Brandon Perna, and we are just days away from the Broncos playoff showdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger's shoulder is fucked. Antonio Brown is in the concussion protocol, and unrelated to this game, Bill Belichick has a black eye, which, no matter how that happened, it makes me happy. Today I'm talking brain bashing and why Antonio Brown should not play, and it has nothing to do with how insanely good he is. Nothing at all. First, let me state that I wanted the Steelers to come to Denver, and I also want the Kansas City Chiefs. The first year the Broncos won the Super Bowl, they played the Steelers and Chiefs in the playoffs. I believe that they can win their first Super Bowl with Peyton Manning through the superstitious belief that if they play the same playoff teams, the end result will be the same. I'd also like to see the Packers in the Super Bowl just to make sure everything is as close as to what it was in 1997. I also would like to suggest that any and all Broncos with long hair get it cut before Sunday. If you don't, you could fall victim to Mike Munchak's hair-pulling fetish on the sideline. Evan Mathis, Danny Trevathan, Bradley Roby, Omar Bolden, you are the guys I am most concerned for. I'll pay for you to take a trip to Sports Clips, as I'm assuming that's where all pro athletes get their hair cut if you go this week before the game. We know if Big Ben plays, his shoulder sprain and stretched or torn ligaments are going to be a bitch to manage throughout the game. The Steel City QB has a reputation for being tough as nails, but this is his throwing shoulder, his tool, his El Chapo used to deliver balls to receivers accurately, on time, and with velocity. The biggest issue stemming from an injury like this may be arm strength. When Peyton Manning was asked about Big Ben's shoulder, he said, "I don't see what the big deal is. I've played without arm strength for the last 4 fucking years." He's right, and he's done good. Roethlisberger's injury is all about pain management. Although I will say, torn or stretched ligaments could seriously affect his throwing motion. Antonio Brown's concussion is a completely different story. Antonio, look at me, man. Eye to eye. The risk, it's not worth the reward. Think about your future, your family, your life after football. This Steelers team is not good enough to win the Super Bowl. But if I'm wrong and you do make it, you need to be healthy for that game. And this comes from the heart, from a guy who considers you his favorite receiver outside of Denver. So you know my advice is good. To get some real information about the seriousness of returning to the football field soon after a concussion, I reached out to self-proclaimed goddess of knowledge, Dr. Katie Levisay, neuropsychologist, to get real information about the human brain. Levisay sent me very detailed information, all of which makes me wish I never played football. A big reason we've seen players forced to sit for at least one game after suffering a concussion has many folds to it. Not just twofold, manyfold. First, doctors know that the brain typically needs at least 7 days to heal from a concussion. But more importantly, they know actual recovery time varies significantly. Another problem is that symptoms from a concussion can be subtle and can go undiagnosed early on after a concussion, meaning it can be very hard to say exactly when a player is ready to return to the field. Brown may feel and look fine, but that does not mean his brain still isn't trying to heal. Levisay also told me, you are 3 to 6 times more likely to suffer a second concussion after you've had one, especially if you try to play too soon after the injury. This is serious shit, and I'm not just saying this because Antonio Brown scares the piss out of me. I'm saying it because I have a giant heart and respect the hell out of Brown. Antonio, if you don't trust me, just listen to your own quarterback.
It's tough to fight through a concussion, and it was tough when I first got in the league too, and it probably still is, but it's not smart. And that's the one part of your body you shouldn't mess with. Really, really shouldn't.
I've had a concussion, and it's tough because I did feel fine the next day. The terrifying part for me was I had complete memory loss. I came to sitting on the bench and was like, why the fuck am I not in the game? And why is the game almost over? My brain was racing in a confused loop like the first time you get super high. The terrifying part for me was I had complete memory loss. I came to sitting on the bench and was like, why the fuck am I not in the game? And why is the game almost over? My brain was racing in a confused loop like the first time you get super high. The real problem is cis. No, not Sith, like in Sith Lord, but cis, as in second impact syndrome. If Brown were to take a hit to the head before his first injury heals, he could experience cerebral edema and herniation, leading to collapse and death within minutes. That is why head injuries are finally being taken seriously. Look at what happened to Wes Welker last season when he tried to come back from a concussion too early. Not only did he suffer a second one, he was forced to wear an embarrassingly oversized helmet. If Steelers fans really care about their team and players, they will be rooting for Brown to sit on the sideline. Right now, this is the biggest test the NFL concussion protocol faces. They've got one of the best players in the NFL with a head injury in the playoffs. The chances of Brown being fully healed by Sunday are smaller than the Cleveland Browns' chances at winning a Super Bowl. And as the great Michael Irvin once said, football isn't everything, especially if you've got mounds of cocaine in your Dallas mansion. Wait, sorry, that was the wrong quote. The great Darryl Strawberry once said, oh wait. This is my inspirational quotes by athletes who loved cocaine. My point is, winning a game, regardless of the stakes, isn't worth jeopardizing your future of functioning with normal brain activity. Thanks for watching That's Good Broncos. Make sure you subscribe here. Give me a follow on Twitter at Brandon Perna. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Subscribe here. Give me a follow on Twitter at Brandon Perna. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Subscribe here. Give me a follow on Twitter at Brandon Perna. I'm just glad that when I suffered a concussion, I wasn't properly diagnosed by the medical staff on the football field, or any of my coaches, or by my parents who were given the advice to just check on me while I was sleeping to make sure I wasn't fucking dead.